in this case, you may have lost someone because they couldn't read it. Because you have people that are colorblind and can't read the red to white relation. The next is not, it's just a regular standard iPath, and the designer took a huge image to get their attention here and then just come across and down. And in this case, this is the heaviest color in terms of weight on color, but if my interest was, say, here, because this is very normal to me, this image is very normal to me, it looks like the AOL guy running, so this may take my focus from over here, but it looks like he had intended you to come down here, which is strange, because it's going down to gaming sites, and this is corporate sites. So he must be targeting people that are not necessarily corporate, a little bit more edgy. So it's interesting. So, and then the Hello Human site, which is Fuzzco, which is also a design company. This is a mistake. They get your attention with something different, which is Hello Human. It's different from the web because it looks like it's been stringed instead of actually written. But then they come down here, and this is one of their banners in their process, and it goes down here, and then it splits depending on what's the next heaviest. So it's not doing what they want you to do. So it's actually a failed attempt at getting your consumer to do what you want. So this is Revolver. They do fast image rotation engine. They do ads and different things like that on the web. They created a page. They created a very obvious, your eye's always going to hit the top left corner, and I can't tell you how many customers I've had to tell that they want to put their logo in the top right. Customers do not look in the top right first. They look in the top left because that's the way your web page loaded. So anytime you want important information, it needs to go in the top left. But here, you're going to start with the logo, and because this is so large and pointing down, you're going to look here first and come down. So they've got quick notes here instead of important information. The consumer is going to miss that. They're going to be like, why are you telling me to do that? And I know that's strange because it's just a download button. You just assume that it gets downloaded. But the arrow actually pulls their eye down. It also, they did the study on this page and said that the consumer went to the left. To here, and this was this is where they stopped. Well, this is not giving you a desired effect. It's not giving them what they want. They want them to download it. And they put the video in because they thought that would be interesting. And this is another study that was done by another usability company. I'll have to look at my notes to remember who it is, but they found that the consumer wasn't even factoring in the movie, which is contrary to what a lot of people say. They say that, you know, if there's a movie on the site, I want to play that first. Well, in this case, the consumers weren't looking at the video. They weren't trying to find out more about the product. They were stopping here and jumping off the page. Again, not a desired result. So in iPath, you want to convert your users by using imagery to move forward. So I did some more research and found Seth Godin did a lot of interesting information about the web, and this was a quote from him. Which is interesting, again, because does anyone know who Seth Godin is?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, he is,
Tribes.
huh?
What? He's written Tribes.
Yeah, he wrote Tribes. He actually kind of started on the basis of Tribes. Has anyone read that book? If you haven't read that book and you're going to want to market yourself in better web design and things like that, you guys need to buy it and read it. It's about, it's an amazing book. He is an amazing author, and he's a really premier marketer. And he said that, I think web surfing is a hunting activity, which it is. We go on the website, we scan, we search, and we search what we want to find. The eye is looking for anomalies for things that don't belong. That might be why the word anomaly spelled wrong in the previous sentence got your focus. One of the takeaways in is that bad web design might actually be a good thing. Slightly bad design isn't familiar. It's off. It demands attention. Very bad design demands the back button. So if you're not getting your consumer to do what they want, they're going to leave your site. He is responding to, his company did iPath tracking on their own site, and there's about 10 minutes worth, which I have also given you guys the link for once the presentation's done, to look at. And you watch it for about 10 minutes. It's 15 users that were on the site, and every single user has a different thing that they looked at, which is interesting study on iPath, and that's where his statement came from, that they're looking for something strange or something out of the ordinary looking on the site. So we can, are there any questions about iPath? So I brought usability because usability is an extremely complicated idea, although it's really not. It's common sense. You use common sense to create usability on the web. I have 10 steps that will make your site more usable, which in effect will make your consumers do what you want them to do. You want them to convert. So include a tagline. You have 8 seconds to make your consumer understand what you're doing. You have 8 seconds to get them to click on something else. You have 8 seconds to move deeper into your site. Or you have 8 seconds for them to click off your site. So tagline helps in that case. It shows them what you're doing very, very quickly, and it gives them an idea of what they're going to find on your site. Because although they want unpredictability and they're going to search for that thing that's out of the ordinary, they also want to know that they're there for a reason. Next one is include a site search. Jacob Nielsen, which again comes back to he did the studies for usability on the web. He says the site search should be 27 characters wide, and you should always include a site search because some people do use site search to navigate your site. They may not want to go through all of the information that you have painstakingly designed and laid out on the site or in an application. They may not want to find everything, so they just want to go directly to where they want. So you need to give them a site search. You need to give them that option. Don't use extensive graphics. I have this problem, and I've not met any designer or developer that doesn't have this problem. If the graphics aren't necessary, take it off the site. If it's not required, take it off the site. It should not, any graphics, JavaScript, or graphic design, graphic elements that you're putting on the site, if they don't make sense or they don't mean anything to the consumer, all it's doing is putting a friction point in for your consumer to jump off your site. So if it's not important, take it away. There's one designer that said it quite well, said that good design, or design is not about what you put on the page, it's about what you can take off of it. So if you can take off almost everything and still get your point across, take it all off, start again. Or maybe you need to design it to the limit and then scale it back and make sure that you're giving the consumer what they need and their experience is good. Use a sitemap. There's 2 types of sitemaps. There's an XML sitemap, which goes to the search engines, which is for SEO. You need to submit your sitemap so that your consumer can find you on it, because the search engines, once you submit an XML sitemap, they will categorize your site, which gives you a higher ability to get actually listed in the search engines. It also gives your consumers a way to find things that, if they're a little bit different in navigation, they can use your XML sitemap to find you. There's also a regular sitemap you put on your site that can just include your products and your contact us and your career section, things like that, that give them a very straightforward idea of what you want. Different people navigate different ways, so you need to give them multiple reasons. Go ahead.
Does an XML sitemap serve the same purpose as the other type of sitemap you just mentioned?
No.
They don't serve both purposes, so you need both?
No. An XML sitemap will generally have every URL on your website. So that includes blog posts, that includes all that stuff. The consumer doesn't need that. So you should have a shortened version of your sitemap on your website somewhere.
So they don't.
You wouldn't be using XML, you'd be using HTML to write out the sitemap. It's a good SEO practice as well as a good usability practice. Simply because it allows your consumer to see the regular sitemap and the XML sitemap they can also get to through your search engines. So it gives them multiple ways to get to your site. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And don't break the workflow. So if they go on your site and they completely fill out a form, but they want to stop in the middle of it, and you're not going to let them, that's a problem for your consumer because maybe their workflow says they don't want to submit to you yet. So you want to give them the option to always cancel any activity that they're doing on your site. And you don't want to force them to put in information that is not necessary. So if you're doing a form, for instance, you put in your name is necessary, your email is necessary. Is their phone number and their work address really necessary? Is their job title really necessary? To them, it may not be. So you don't want to put that on there unless what you're asking them to submit for is job search. You want to understand your customer, which is what usability is about. That's why I said usability is about common sense. If your consumer wants it, it should be on the site, or it should be in your application you're designing.